in quarter 2, everyone is expecting a rebound, and then after that, we're going to crash all the way down.
Cryptocurrency exchange.
Non-fungible. We only take Bitcoin and other crypto.
Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new episode of Chain DB Podcast, the podcast about all things cryptocurrencies. As you can see, we have a bit of a new setup. It's because we're in our brand new studio. This is not the final layout yet, so you'll start to see incremental changes over the next few episodes. But thank you so much for joining us. For today's episode, we're going to be talking about something that I think everybody is thinking about right now. They are now a little bit more active because the markets are suddenly rallying again.
Yes, actually, if you look at our Chain Debrief community, right, the main chat is getting more and more, is getting noisier.
Yeah.
I think people are asking like, hey, why is this coin rallying? Should I buy in? Should I ape in? And everyone's excited.
Yeah, there's excitement again, which is always strange because usually when the markets are down, it's the best time to buy, right? And then when prices go up again, suddenly people are interested in buying.
Yeah.
And it's usually it's the same pattern. But I think what we wanted to talk about today is, is this a new bull run? Is this sustainable? Or is it like a dead cat bounce, for example? What are some reasons why, Bitcoin and Ethereum are rallying? And also, we're not just seeing that on just the crypto scale of things, but we're also seeing it across like even the stock markets. And really just want to explore some of those things, and also what can people really take away from all of this, right? Do we actually, is it time to start buying again, or do we be a little bit more cautious? So if you guys haven't been reading the news, but I'll be quite surprised if you haven't. Bitcoin surpassed the 45,000 mark about a couple of days ago, and today is hovering around 47,000. Ethereum also is at about 3,400. And so, things are looking bright again. I think a lot of people's portfolio would be hopefully in the green unless you bought it at all-time high. But not just crypto, right? Like we're looking at it in terms of like the stock market also. The S&P 500 is like at 4,600, which is close to the 52-week high. Meme stocks like GME and AMC is like doing well also.
Oh, I never follow all those already though.
Wow. So like over the last 5 days, again at time of recording, right? GME was up 101% over the last 5 days. Yeah, it doubled up. And then AMC was up 84%. Tesla also doing very well. So what is going on with the markets, right? I think is something that's on a lot of people's mind. Even on Chain Debrief, we wrote an article, why is BTC doing so well right now? What are your immediate thoughts?
Well, I mean, for I think the equity market is sort of like beaten down very badly. Everyone was selling. Those that wanted to sell in quarter 1 would have sold already, right? And I think in terms of equities, is oversold already. It's damn ridiculous. Like, I still have a couple of positions in equity, but in the previous episode I said I sold everything already, right? Right now my US equity portfolio is basically off my profits, so I don't really care about it. But it was very, very beaten down until levels like a bit ridiculous one lah. So I think we are way oversold already, and I think every negative stuff would have been priced in already. I think there was some a factor of being oversold. And then there was a couple of news that were quite favoring the whole equity market, right? So like the price hike was, the tone of the price hike, interest rate hike, right, was a bit expected already, nothing out of the ordinary. And then the Russian war is sort of like stabilizing. They are saying that they're gonna stop invasion or whatever already. And then there's a couple of other news like, I feel like that's what's happening in the equities market. And if you look at global investors, right, where can they park their money if they have money, right? Nowhere else already, man. Like if you put into like fixed D or like bond rates, bonds are ridiculous. Like the rates are it's like what, 0.5%, 1%. Yeah, so you can't put anywhere already, right? So then obviously we are bottoming already for equities, and then people are already like risk on. People talk about risking on, right? Basically, where can they park, right? I think it's only equities lah, right? In terms of crypto, why is it rallying? I feel like, yes, there's a couple of news around, Luna pushing it, right? But I think if we zoom out a little bit more, right, I feel like the crypto market sort of reflect what's happening in the equities market. Yeah. So I think equities market grow, and then crypto sort of like follow suit. Is what I think lah. So I think that sort of explain why over the last week or so, I think Bitcoin surged about 20%, 20+%. Ether also the same thing. I think because everyone's trying to risk on already lah, and again we have been oversold already, and companies are innovating. And equities market, all of the tech companies, S&P 500 companies, they are still growing, and cannot be going down all the way, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the main reason, I feel like whether or not it's sustainable. Actually, I'm not really sure, to be honest. What are you doing in your investment right now?
Right now, I am mostly holding. So
Yeah.
I haven't really done a lot of rotations. I think when like a month ago, where the market sentiment was just so low, right? Like
Yeah.
people were talking about the interest rate hikes, and then the war happened, and then everyone was selling off. My whole like thesis or position was just let's just hold and wait for it to come back up, lah.
Yeah.
Because I also didn't have a lot of bullets to play with. I think
Okay.
that's the other reason.
So you never really buy any dip or whatever, lah?
I didn't really deploy. I think the only thing I did was quite similar to you. I didn't really buy Bitcoin, but I bought Ethereum about maybe 2 weeks ago when it was like 2.8 or 2.9. And that was really it for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, didn't really do anything much besides that. I think like you mentioned, right? Like I think it's a combination of a lot of different factors. If we just look at the equity markets, it's that sentiment towards the war. I think firstly the news cycles also have started to change. There's not a lot of coverage, not as much as when the war first started. And then also there's news that I think escalation is going to like come down. The war is going to de-escalate a little bit. But then you also touch upon the whole Luna thing, right? So if you guys don't know, we touched about this about 2 weeks ago, right? So like Terra mentioned, or like the Luna Foundation mentioned, that they were going to like accumulate about $3 billion worth of like Bitcoin over time, right? They've been buying about $125 million worth of like Bitcoin over the past week or so. And I think that might have been a massive factor in why Bitcoin probably surged a little bit higher than equities. But then you combine that with that correlation with equities and all the like the sentiments, that probably helped, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, yes, bull market is very fun, and all those green is very exciting, right? One thing that everyone should also be wary about is, from a macro perspective, right? Things are still quite bad.
Yeah.
Interest rate is still scheduled to be released, and then after that, recessions might still happen. Inflation is still going to happen. Things are going to be more expensive, and that is going to put a cap in terms of upside or how fast we are growing. So I think with that landscape in mind, right, I feel like right now maybe we have sort of like oversold again, and then we're seeing a mini rebound of sorts. And there's also other people there are other chatters in other communities that I've been following, right? They're saying like in Q2, everyone is expecting a rebound, and then after that we're gonna crash all the way down. So because Q1 is like, it's a very shit quarter lah, right? And then after that, everyone is like saying, okay, this is like a mini bounce.
Yeah. And it'll come back down.
It'll come all the way down when all the rate hikes come in, and when everyone decided they cannot really keep up the good stories already, right? So that's one of the narrative that I'm following. So to be completely honest, I'm not too sure. What I'm doing is I haven't sold anything much after I rotated out. So in terms of my portfolio, right, it was 80% vested and I had 20% stablecoin.
Okay.
But the last 2 weeks, I deployed all of my stablecoins already. Yeah, so like because of the rally, right? Yeah. So like I have 0 stablecoins right now in my whole portfolio. So that 20% is more of like speculative trade. So I hope to capture a little bit, trade a bit positions here and there based on like a certain narrative and what's happening in the space right now. And then I'm gonna rotate out. Eventually, I think I will turn it back to stable or BTC, ETH.
I think what's quite interesting is that last week we spoke about how you were starting to accumulate ETH and BTC, right? And you've kind of identified that you kind of were expecting this rally to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you kind of mentioned that also. What were the indicators for you? Because in the end, your prediction came true.
Well, I mean, I think there was a lot of like positive news. More like the chances of rallying last week were way higher than the chances of it continue to drop. Even if it crashes, right, it will crash another BTC, maybe another, max 5%.
It wasn't going to be drastic, lah.
Correct. Yeah. So there was more. The risk return for long was much higher than for it to crash, lah. So then I deployed my stable into BTC and ETH. But I was tracking the volume and whatnot. Then it wasn't like a chong up. Then it was like slow and steady, like a bit weak like that. Yeah. Then I'm like, actually like no volume already. Like where's the short squeeze?
Yeah.
never happened. Then I'm like, let me just so I took profit.
Okay.
Then after that, continued to rally. Wow, then I damn sian. Then after that, I bought something else lah. Yeah. So, but I'm fully vested right now lah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when the rally started happening, and I think like yesterday again at the time of like filming this, right, a couple of analysts gave their own take on it lah. So like a crypto broker, Global Block, for example, said that they did warn that like I think everyone should be a little bit cautious, especially because Bitcoin is facing like heavy resistance. But if it's able to hold like the 46, 47 level for several days, they do expect it to like move towards like 52. Which is the next key resistance. And then like a couple of other analysts also kind of shared the same sentiment, saying that they do expect it to move somewhere between 50 to 55 around mid-April. So I think, I mean, again, like no one can really predict the future.
Yeah.
It's almost like weather.
Yeah, but there's a lot of like bullish sentiments right now,
that's right.
which to me is a bit scary though.
Almost too bullish, is it? Or like too optimistic?
I feel like the crash in December was very, very scary. I remember, I think one of the podcasts I was mentioning, I was out with my wife.
Yeah.
And then I was looking at my portfolio, right? The crash was damn intense. Like my portfolio was like in 1 hour, it dropped like 10% kind in 1 hour. I was like, wow.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, and like I keep on refreshing. I'm like, should I buy in? Should I buy in?
Yeah.
Then wow, it was so intense, and I never sold anything, right? Because I had rotated out to something else already. So then I crashed and burned basically. So that sort of like left me a little bit of like, I'm a bit cautious right now in terms of like how far we can push up. I don't think this year we will see like new all-time highs.
Okay. For throughout the whole year?
I don't think so.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, for BTC all-time high was what, 64, is it?
69, I think.
69, wow.
I remember everyone getting quite excited over
So
69.
I actually don't think we will hit new all-time high this year.
Okay.
But I might be wrong, guys.
Usually when you say the opposite happens.
Hey,
though.
let's go! LFG! Yeah, but
Everyone's gonna start accumulating.
So I actually don't think, I think it will be like sideways. So I'll be trading a fair bit. But my core position, the 80%, most likely I'll hold it. I'll be trading like my stable coins in and out.
Okay.
Hopefully I get, of the 10 trades, I get 7 or 8 right, then I'm good lah,
You spoke about stablecoins earlier, so like one of the very popular stablecoins, especially here in Asia, is UST. And usually people, what they do with their UST is they put it on Anchor protocol, but Anchor just announced that they are going to stop their
interest rate,
20% interest rate.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I think it's fine. I think they should do it. I think actually every day I was tracking the reserve. So if you go to the Anchor protocol, the dashboard, right, they'll share with you the reserve, how much they have.
The part of Anchor that no one sees actually, they only like to see how much return that they get.
Yeah, so the reserve actually 2 weeks ago was 400 plus million. Now it's like 380 or 350 million already. It's dwindling very fast. And if
it's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable, which is why they should do what they did lah. But actually 19% is still very high. I think it was, I never followed the proposal, but initially it was 19+%, and every month or so they will reduce like 0.25% or 0.5%, which on the grander scheme of things, you're still getting 19% or 18% or whatever lah, right?
Correct.
I think that is still better than the traditional finance world lah.
Yeah.
But obviously there are other platforms out there that allow you to earn more than 19% or 20% on your stablecoin. But I think 19% is, 18% or 19%, I think it's fine. They should do it lah.
Yeah, I think I was discussing with some friends also, and like, yeah, like I think like you rightly mentioned, I believe they said that the terms will be that they will only vary the rate like once every month, and they will announce
something
it
like
beforehand,
that. Yeah.
And that it will be like, I think plus or minus 1.5%. And our editor will correct us with the screenshot.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's okay lah. I think to me, if it's above 15%, I'm more than happy to leave it there.
Yeah.
And it's not going to drop to 15% until like how many more months from now, which will give you ample time to redeploy or whatsoever lah.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So in terms of the Anchor protocol rate, right, I think they are in a very tight spot right now because they need to keep the interest rate high so that people are still continue to pump their money into Anchor protocol, right? Because if people stop pumping money in, right, the whole thing's gonna collapse already. Yeah. So I think I don't know whether they're too big to fail right now, or if it fails, it's gonna be a very big thing for the whole Terra ecosystem. Right now, I think in terms of the stablecoin returns, right, I think they have to find a very fine balance between how much they can sustain. Because there are other competitors that are pushing out very high APY on stablecoins right now. I think recently, 1-2 weeks ago, there's a new protocol, Stargate Binance.
That's right.
So they offer very high APY on their returns on their stablecoins. Although the APY dropped already, but at the peak it was like 20+% on your stablecoins.
And it's across different stable, so like USDT.
Yeah, and across different chain on AVAX and all those other chains, all can use Stargate Finance to get stablecoin high APY, right? And recently also there's a few other protocols that blew up. So there's Torchain and one more, what is it called again? Astropod. Actually, no, Astropod is not really there, but Torchain, they're offering very high APY on a lot of pairs as well. So Anchor is facing a lot of hidden competitors lah.
Yep.
That I think native people who are not really following the whole Anchor or Luna ecosystem, right? Or the Web 2.5 people or early Web 3 people, right? All of them will be like, wow, okay, I can just earn 20% on Luna UST, right? Actually, the musical chair might be running out.
Yeah.
As quite soon also. So I'm not too sure. So the number to look at is basically the reserve, which I'm looking very, very closely at. Every 1 or 2 weeks, I'll just go to my Anchor protocol and look at the dashboard and see how much money do they have left to fund all of this stuff, right? If the reserve run out, I think that's fine also. If Luna price is crazy high, then they can sell more Luna and fund it, right? But if the reserve run out already, right, 10 million from now, I think 300+ million to let's say 20 million or something, right? And then Luna crashed to $50, right?
Panic.
I tell you,
Yeah.
LFG is gonna be GG's, yeah, I tell you. So actually quite intense. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
It's not fun. I mean, my biggest my biggest holding is still in Luna.
Yeah.
Not because I bought more, but because of the price increase, right? So I don't want it to crash and burn also, right? But it's just something that I'm keeping in mind because most of my stablecoin farm are in Anchor Protocol right now.
Okay.
Because it's easy to do. It's easy for me to do.
That's the thing,
Yeah.
right? If you look at like pairs and all these other ways of like farming and staking,
Too mafan already.
It's too mafan, and if it's too mafan for you or even for like me, right, which is
Oh my
like not
God,
as
yeah,
regen as you,
yeah.
right, it's gonna be so mafan for so many people.
Correct.
Like there's a lot of people that like are new to crypto and they always ask me like, hey, like what can I do that is relatively safe, right? My first thing to tell them is just put in Anchor. It's just the easiest thing for them to like do and earn 20%, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's not mafan lah. It's just that I need to move all the stablecoin to other chains, and then after that do all the stuff. Then to me, that's a bit too mafan for me already lah.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
I think we look at the other like competitors also, right? Like how sustainable is their APYs? Because for the longest time also, Anchor was, I mean, everyone thought that the 20% would like stay for a long time. And then they did announce that, the 20% was because we were in adoption phase. We wanted people to like come in as much as possible. But now we are in like sustainable phase.
Actually, no. So I think the 20% one I think is fine. So it's more of the borrow rate. So if you borrow money, they'll charge you interest. So right now the borrow is like -3% already. So you have to pay an interest to borrow money right now.
Yeah.
Which I think is what it should be lah, like traditional finance world, right? So I think that's okay in terms of sustainability. I'm just not too sure whether that is enough or not to cover the cost of the interest rate for the stablecoin part. Because before this, right, when they were trying to accumulate users, right, the borrow rate is positive, which means they're paying you Anchor token to borrow money.
They're earning money from actually borrowing.
Yeah, and then I think last year it was like 0%, which means it's still breaking even lah.
Yeah.
Right now, I think every day I'm looking at it is like -3%. So I'm just thinking, whether I should repay my loan or not.
So I mean, besides the markets, besides Bitcoin doing well, so I think Ethereum is doing well, and I think a lot of people are also pointing out to, I mean, besides the wider scope of things, there is a little bit more hype finally about Ethereum 2.0. It feels like it's impending more than ever. Are you optimistic? in terms of.
Wow, what are your thoughts on it? Do you follow it? To be completely honest, I'm not following it.
I follow it from a distance, right? I see tweets about it, and I feel like if more people are tweeting about it, then it's gonna come. And then if it comes, then most likely people are gonna get excited over Ethereum again. Whether or not the underlying technology means that like it's actually gonna be better or worse for Ethereum or so on, right? I think that's a whole different topic because a lot of people are saying that actually it's gonna benefit the layer 2s more, actually, or it won't, etc. and all this. So I think for me, it's just that I think if more people are excited that the merge is gonna happen, right? Then I do expect like Ethereum to go up lah. But I haven't been keeping up to date as to like what the progress is technology wise, right? It feels like it's been happening for like how long already and it hasn't happened yet.
Exactly that, right? So like I feel like it would have been priced in already. Like I think the reason why people were excited about 2.0, right, was that okay, you're gonna reduce the price, the gas fees.
Yeah.
But gas fees is very acceptable right now, and then okay, even if you roll out ETH 2.0 right now, right, then what, you're gonna give a 20-30% discount on your fees. But then how the catalyst for ETH to move out is basically the whole crypto market needs to move together, right? And for that to happen, I think you need new innovation, new volume to come into the whole space again, people to be risk on, people to be greedy again, which I think all of those would be impacted by or affected by macro lah, right? And less of ETH 2.0 per se lah. That's what I feel, and I feel like
I agree with what you're saying, but wouldn't, like, in terms of the short term though, like if even though gas fees are like acceptable right now, but if it goes even lower, wouldn't you expect? I could be wrong, but won't you expect a little bit more activity suddenly? Like people are more
I would
likely
think
to
so. I would think
buy
so.
NFTs and do this and that.
Yeah, I would think so lah. So I'm 50-50 on that. I feel like from ETH to move, actually very very hard, tough to say. Like recently, you know, Zilliqa actually blew up like what, more than 100+%. I faded it again.
Yeah.
So you know, the reason why it blew up was because of like some old news.
Exactly.
So actually, I wouldn't know. Maybe if the power come out, then it's gonna like 2x. Okay, let's go.
I feel like there is a mainstream crowd that is in between the non-crypto natives and the degens, right? That are very fickle. And they get excited over very small things, but it's going to be very short term.
Yeah.
And I feel like the days leading up to the final ETH 2.0 finally, I feel like it's going to get a little spike and then maybe it will eventually like
probably
reach equilibrium.
Yeah. So I actually don't really follow law. Like I feel like I'm just following the macro news, and my thinking is that this year I don't think we will hit new all-time high.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it will.
Yeah.
Because again, very vested, right? But I think in terms of like the macro landscape, there's a cap to it. Hard to say also. So I'm following more of that, less of like the individual blockchain development right now lah. Yeah, that's for me lah.
I think you talk about the macroeconomic landscape. I think a lot of that is ridden by like the interest rate hikes, and I think also like there is still a war that's going on, right? But there is something else that's happening in the macroeconomic landscape that actually might be positive news, which is that I think more and more countries are actually opening up after COVID, right? So like Singapore being one of the strictest like countries in the world surprised us all by actually we opened up. Yeah, we've opened up borders. Like everyone from every country can now come in as long as they're vaccinated. Australia, which has been super strict, also has opened up. I think New Zealand started opening up to Singapore also. Like, would you feel like this might counteract some of the impending, like some of the dampening reasons?
Yeah. So I feel like there's a lot of like different factors in play right now. I think there's a lot of push and there's a lot of pull as well. So, which is why
it balances out.
I don't think we will hit all the way up. Okay. I think that's essentially why lah. Like companies, you know, the bullish news is basically, you know, companies are opening up, Russia stopped already, and then after that, you know, we really bottom out already. And then job numbers are okay, which means you know, all economies should be blossoming,
and people should have money on their hands,
right? And actually there was also some chatters in other communities that say like war is actually very good because you need to print more money, and then as you print more money, then economy will chong more, right? So I think those are the bullish factors. The bearish one is, you know, we have so much, US has so much debt and then all of this stuff, we need interest rate to control or return back whatever that was accrued from the COVID period, right? So all of those are basically putting a cap in terms of how far we can grow, right? So we printed too much money already, and then now the US is like, okay, I think we need to like put a leash on all of this. I think that's the
dampening factors.
The dampening factors. So I actually not sure which one is gonna win, which side is gonna win. So for me is basically I'm gonna still be fully vested, 80% vested, sorry, and then the 20% I'm just gonna be in stable coins, and then as and when there's opportunistic trades, then I'll just go in, make some money, lose some money, and then after that, mostly it will be in stable coins throughout the year lah. Yeah.
Sounds good. So I think as we've discussed today, I think there's some reasons to be optimistic, but I think there's a lot of other reasons also to kind of like be a little bit cautious and wary. And so again, invest wisely, invest with that in the back of your mind that this isn't the start of like all-time high rallies all over again, even though we hope that it might be. But we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you zoom out, right, 5 years later, will Bitcoin be today? What's the price again? 47k. 5 years later, will it be 47k? Cannot be
147k.
147k. So okay, if you think that you are okay to hold that, you need to have the conviction to hold through lah, right? And when if it crashes, don't sell lor. Just
exactly.
Like for me, I look at my portfolio at January 1st and December 31st. So
zoom out.
Yeah, so like January 1st was very, very good for me because of last year, right? Now it's very shit. I better tell myself, but that's fine. Today is not.
What does it look like in December?
What does it look like in December? Right. So then there's still time to trade it out or like hold it, right? So that's for me lah. And I think if again zoom out in terms of like long term, I really don't think Bitcoin is gonna be at 47 lah, right? Then I ask myself, is there any other asset classes that's worth investing, or in terms of risk reward, is it better? Are there any asset classes that offers a higher risk reward ratio than crypto? I cannot find.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you just need to plan your trade accordingly lah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks so much for watching, guys. This episode of the Chain Debrief podcast. If you like what you watch, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Also, we've got links down below to join all our different communities and all the different things that we're doing. We'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.